The breaking point. Captain Elena Reyes stood at the viewport of Nexus Station, the massive crystalline hub of the Galactic Federation. Below her, the blue-green marble of the Federation capital planet Centauri Prime rotated slowly, its artificial rings glittering with thousands of docked ships. For 12 years, she had served as Earth's liaison to the Federation's Defense Council, and for 12 years, she had been ignored, patronized, and underestimated. Today would be different. Are you certain about this, Captain? Lieutenant Amara Chen's voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed concern. Elena nodded, straightening her midnight blue uniform. Earth Command's decision is unanimous. 12 years of appealing through proper channels has gotten us nowhere. It's time for action. The Federation Council chamber was a vast amphitheater, its curved ceiling displaying a real-time map of known space. 217 species had representatives seated in tiered rows, arranged by their status within the Federation. Humanity, despite being members for over 50 years, remained relegated to the outer ring. The developing species section. As Elena walked toward the central podium, she could hear the dismissive clicks and whistles from the senior representatives. The Valrathi ambassador, a massive insectoid with iridescent carapace, leaned toward his aide. The humans again. What complaint will they register today? His translator didn't bother to lower the volume. Elena stepped onto the speaker's platform. The subtle energy field activated, amplifying her voice throughout the chamber. Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Federation, I come before you with a formal declaration from Earth Command. The ambient chatter continued. Few even bothered to look in her direction. She cleared her throat and continued, effective immediately. All human personnel are withdrawing from Federation service. All human engineers, technicians, translators, medical staff, and security forces are returning to Earth space. This caught their attention. The chamber gradually fell silent as representatives turned toward the central podium. Ambassador Zix of the Medusan Collective, chair of the council, rose from his seat. His translucent body pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that indicated amusement. Captain Rice, surely you jest. This dramatic declaration is unnecessary. If Earth wishes to submit another petition for advancement within the Federation hierarchy, there are proper. This is not a petition, Ambassador, Elena interrupted, her voice unnervingly calm. It is a notification. The withdrawal has already begun. As if on cue, her comm unit chimed. She glanced at the display and allowed a small smile. The first transport vessels have departed Federation stations in the Orion, Cygnus, and Ta Sidi sectors. All human personnel will be evacuated within 72 hours. The council erupted in a cacophony of voices. The Valrathi ambassador's mandibles clicked rapidly in what humans had learned was their expression of laughter. Let them go, he announced. The Federation existed for millennia before humans stumbled upon interstellar travel. We will continue without their primitive contributions. Elena didn't argue. Instead, she removed her Federation communicator and placed it on the podium. We have contributed to this alliance in good faith for 5 decades. We have adapted our technology to yours, learned your languages, modified our methods to accommodate hundreds of different species. Yet we remain classified as developing, unable to vote on policies that affect our sector, denied access to advanced technologies, and treated as convenient labor rather than equals. She stepped away from the podium. You have 72 hours to consider what the Federation will look like without human ingenuity. Earth awaits your response. As she walked out of the chamber, Elena activated her secure Earth communicator. Initiate Protocol Exodus. Authorization raised Delta 7. Throughout Federation space, humans receive the coded message. On massive orbital constructions, deep space outposts, medical facilities, and maintenance hubs, human workers simultaneously shut down their stations and proceeded to designated evacuation points. Chief Engineer Marcus Wong was elbow-deep in the quantum stabilizer of Arcturus Station when his communicator buzzed. He checked the message, then carefully extracted himself from the delicate machinery. Where are you going? demanded Station Director Kovacs, his crystalline form vibrating with irritation. The synchronization cycle is only half complete. Marcus wiped his hands on a rag. Earth has withdrawn from the Federation. All humans are going home. Impossible. You cannot abandon your post. The stabilizer will desynchronize within hours without proper maintenance. The schematics are in the system, Marcus replied calmly. I've documented all the modifications I've made over the years. Though you might have trouble with the notes. They're in English. Throughout the station, similar scenes played out. Medical Officer Sophia Diaz locked her custom-designed medical instruments and handed her stunned Thraxian supervisor a datapad. These are the calibration codes for the tissue regenerators, she explained. The official Federation protocols don't work properly for 17 species, so I've adjusted the settings. The changes aren't officially documented anywhere except here. In the communication hub, Translator Coordinator Jamal Harrison disconnected his neural interface from the central system. Immediately, several translation channels went offline. What have you done? The Bellatrix Communication Director's tentacles writhed in agitation. I didn't do anything, Jamal explained. The translation matrices for 37 languages were running through my neural interface. The Federation's automated systems can only handle standard dialects, not regional variations or contextual subtleties. All across Federation space, the exodus continued without resistance. Most Federation officials responded with dismissive confidence, certain that human contributions were easily replaceable. Some even expressed relief at no longer dealing with what many species considered humanity's exhausting intensity and constant questioning of established protocols. On the diplomatic carrier New Horizon, Elena watched the evacuation reports stream in. Lieutenant Chen occupied the seat beside her, monitoring the communications array. 94% of human personnel have reached evacuation points, Chen reported. The remaining 6% are in transit. No significant resistance reported. Elena nodded. And the monitoring systems. All in place. We'll have real-time data on Federation operations across all sectors. How long before critical systems begin to fail? Chen consulted her datapad. Engineering estimates between 6 and 48 hours, depending on the system. Life support will remain stable the longest. Those systems have redundancies. Communication and navigation will likely fail first. As if to punctuate her assessment, the display showed an alert. Navigation BUI network EPSI 17 offline. That was fast, Elena murmured. The buoy network relies on continuous recalibration, Chen explained. The automated systems can't compensate for quantum drift. Lieutenant Rodriguez implemented a manual correction protocol 3 years ago that became the standard, but he never documented the exact methodology. Within 12 hours, reports of system failures began flooding Federation emergency channels. The first major incident occurred at the Proxima Centauri way station, where the atmospheric regulation system suddenly reconfigured to Thraxian standard, an atmosphere highly toxic to the station's primary inhabitants. Only the quick action of the remaining alien engineers prevented mass casualties. At the massive shipyards orbiting Deneb IV, production ground to a halt when fabrication units began producing components with microscopic defects. No one could locate the quality control protocols that human technicians had implemented. Most concerning to Federation leadership was the gradual breakdown of the quantum communication network that connected the far-flung worlds. Without the constant adjustments made by human operators, the delicate quantum entanglement began to decohere, system by system. Federation worlds found themselves isolated, limited to light-speed communications that took years to reach distant sectors. On Nexus Station, an emergency council session was called. The chamber that had dismissed Elena Reyes with amused condescension just 24 hours earlier now buzzed with alarm. Ambassador Zix addressed the assembly, his bioluminescent patterns now pulsing with patterns indicating distress. The situation is more serious than initially assessed. Critical systems across 17 sectors are reporting failures. The quantum network is operating at 37% capacity and degrading. How is this possible? Demanded the Valrathi ambassador. Humans are barely a Category 3 civilization. Their technology is centuries behind most member species. A Tyrellian scientist stepped forward, her delicate wings fluttering nervously. It appears the issue is not their technology, but their adaptation of ours. Humans have been modifying our systems. They found inefficiencies, created workarounds, implemented improvements that were never officially documented. Why was this allowed? The Valrathi's mandibles clicked in agitation. The Tyrellian's wings drooped slightly. Because the modifications worked, human engineers found solutions to problems our specialists had deemed unsolvable. Their medical staff developed treatment protocols that saved countless lives. Their translators facilitated communication between species that had never before been able to interact directly. And now they're gone. Ambassador Zix stated flatly. Along with their undocumented modifications, unofficial protocols, and innovative solutions. As the Council descended into accusations and arguments, Federation systems continued to fail. The humans watched from their retreating ships, waiting for the call they knew would eventually come. The reckoning. Admiral Vecnar of the Valrathi Imperium stared at the emergency reports, flooding his command center with disbelief bordering on rage. His flagship, the Indomitable, drifted powerless at the edge of the Cygnus Void, along with 17 other vessels of the Federation's most powerful battle fleet. Explain again, he clicked to his chief engineer, how the simultaneous failure of our propulsion systems is connected to the human withdrawal. The engineer's antennae drooped in submission. The quantum drive synchronization protocol was redesigned 3 years ago after persistent failures in the gravity wave compensators. A human engineer discovered that minute fluctuations in the drive cores could be harmonized across multiple vessels, increasing efficiency by 22%. And no one fought to document this procedure. Vecnar's mandibles clicked furiously. The procedure was documented, the engineer clarified, but the underlying mathematics, the humans described it as intuitive approximation. They could sense patterns in the quantum field fluctuations that our instruments couldn't detect. Across Federation space, similar crises unfolded. On the medical station orbiting Rigel Prime, patients from 12 species suffered as treatment systems failed or delivered incorrect dosages. The head physician, Dr. Clore of the Medusan Collective, worked frantically to stabilize critical patients. The human medical staff calibrated these systems differently for each species, she explained to the station administrator. They claimed the standard protocols ignored critical physiological differences. We always assumed they were being unnecessarily cautious. In the Federation archives on Centauri Prime, the vast network of knowledge that had accumulated over millennia began corrupting. The quantum storage matrices that preserved the collective wisdom of hundreds of civilizations degraded without the constant adjustments made by human archivists. They understood the importance of redundancy, the chief archivist explained to the horrified council representatives who had assembled for an emergency briefing. Humans have a curious obsession with preserving information in multiple formats. They created backup systems we considered primitive and unnecessary. Physical storage, isolated networks, even printed materials. By the third day of the human exodus, the Federation Council had abandoned its pretense of unconcern. Ambassador Zix himself sent the formal request to Earth Command. The Federation requests immediate consultation regarding the current technological crisis. Earth's response was simple. We are prepared to discuss terms for technical assistance. A delegation will meet your representatives at neutral coordinates in the Ta City system. The meeting took place aboard the Concordia, a massive Earth vessel that had until recently served as a Federation medical and research facility. Captain Alina Reyes led the human delegation, joined by representatives from Earth's various technical divisions. The Federation sent its highest officials, Ambassador Zix, the Valrathi High Commander, and representatives from the 12 founding species. Their arrival was delayed by navigation difficulties, Without human operators, the precise calculations needed for synchronized jumps had become problematic. Ambassador Zix began the negotiations with what, for his species, amounted to humility. The Federation acknowledges that the contribution of humans to our collective functionality has been underestimated. You mean you didn't notice we were keeping everything running until we stopped doing it? Engineer Marcus Wong commented dryly. Belina raised a hand to silence him. We appreciate the acknowledgement, Ambassador. However, recognition is only the beginning of our requirements for returning to Federation service. She activated a holographic display showing the new terms: full voting membership for Earth, unrestricted access to all technology levels, human representation on all major councils, and retroactive compensation for 50 years of technical innovation. These terms are unprecedented. The Volrathi representative clicked in agitation. So is the current situation, Elena countered. We've demonstrated our value to the Federation. Now we must determine if the Federation values us. For 3 days, the negotiations continued. Federation representatives initially balked at Earth's demands, but each passing hour brought new reports of critical failures throughout Federation space. Transport networks collapsed, leaving worlds isolated. Medical facilities operated at minimum capacity. Communication between species became increasingly difficult as translation systems failed to capture nuances that human translators had intuitively understood. On the 4th day, the Federation Council capitulated. Earth would receive full membership status, with all the rights and privileges therein. Human innovations would be officially recognized and compensated. Most significantly, a new council department would be established, the Integration and Innovation Bureau, with humans in key leadership positions. As the Federation representatives prepared to depart, Admiral Vecnar approached Elena privately. The massive insectoid had to lower his torso to address her at eye level. You planned this from the beginning, he stated. It wasn't a question. Elena met his compound eyes steadily. For 5 decades, humans tried to earn recognition through proper channels. We were consistently ignored. So yes, we developed a contingency plan. You could have caused incalculable damage. Lives could have been lost. But they weren't, Elena pointed out. We built in safeguards for critical systems, life support, medical emergencies, defensive capabilities, all had extended operational parameters. We're not monsters, Admiral. We just refuse to remain servants. The Admiral's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. The Volrathi have a concept, Sikvat, the worthy adversary who becomes the essential ally. Today, humanity has proven itself Sikvat to the Federation. 3 weeks later, human personnel began returning to their posts throughout Federation space. Systems were restored, innovations properly documented, and protocols standardized. But the balance of power had shifted irreversibly. In the newly renovated council chamber on Nexus Station, Elena Rice took her seat among the senior representatives. Beside her sat delegates from Earth's various divisions: engineering, medical, communications, and defense. For the first time, humanity's voice would be heard at the highest levels of galactic governance. Ambassador Zix called the session to order, his bioluminescent patterns displaying formal respect, a pattern he had never before used when addressing humans. The Federation welcomes Earth as a full member of our collective, he announced. Recent events have demonstrated that advancement within our community should be measured not merely by the age of a civilization, but by its contributions to our shared prosperity. Elena allowed herself a small smile as she surveyed the chamber. The Federation had existed for millennia before humanity reached the stars, and it would likely continue for millennia after. But it would never again underestimate the species from the seemingly unremarkable blue planet in an unexceptional spiral arm of the Milky Way. Perhaps the most profound change was reflected in the Federation's updated charter. A new principle had been added to its founding tenets. Diversity of approach creates resilience of outcome. It was a human concept, one that embodied the adaptive thinking that had made humanity essential to galactic civilization. The Federation had learned its lesson. The humans had taught it well.